Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, your sanctuary with retreat experts, where we spill the tea on retreat success. Here we dive into crafting transformational guest experiences, talk about how to avoid pitfalls, and unlock marketing secrets. Whether you're a seasoned guru or a budding enthusiast, we've got the inside scoop for you. Join us as we learn how to flourish in this magical world of retreats. Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. This is Shannon, and I'm excited to have a guest on the show today that I think is really going to help us in what we do when we are marketing our retreats. And so I want to welcome Mellissa Tong to the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited. I did not ask ahead of time. I'm learning on the air. Did I say your last name right?
Yes. Correct.
I did. Yay. Okay. That's great. I appreciate that. Well, Mellissa, will you just start off first by telling us who you are and how you got to where you are today and what you do?
Sure. So I am a storyteller. And I know a lot of people would think, oh, what does that mean, right? So I have a award-winning storytelling agency and content production company called Duck Punk Productions. So we serve three different kinds of customers. So for big corporations, we shoot TV commercials and branded content for them. And some of our clients are Nissan, Verizon, Wells Fargo, Old Navy, McDonald's, just to name a few. And then I have mid-sized companies, and we serve as fractional CMOs for them. And then we also have, the sort of more entry-level, newer entrepreneurs, small business owners. And we have a course called Story Selling to teach them how to apply storytelling in the business to build their brand, drive sales, and win more customers. So I'm quite wide in terms of customer range, budget range, and also industry-wise, because we've done basically every industry that you can think of, something that I would not ever have thought that I would have the honor to do. But, so we've done, work with manufacturing companies, right? Nothing that I would ever dreamed of, manufacturing, right? But we did it, and we did something with a company that makes stoves, and they only supply the cooking stoves for Panda, for the Panda group, that have, Panda Express and all these Panda, restaurants under the umbrella. Yeah. So, it's been a lot of fun and it's very rewarding. And
I can see that. And I love, not to interrupt, but one of the things that I love is even though you service a lot of different markets and industries, and you kind of have the 3-tier, which I love, you are still staying way in your niche, which is still all about story time selling, right? Or story time marketing. So, and you can serve pretty much anybody within that niche. And I think most of the people that are listening to my podcast probably fall in the small business startup realm. And an online course is perfect, but I just had to interrupt real quick because I'm all about niche marketing and staying in our lane. And I think that you're crushing it while still serving a very big audience.
Yes. So it took a while, right? It was not easy. So for the longest time, we were focusing on just doing work for the big corporations. And then after I've had my company since, 2000. And I started my career as a TV newscaster. So that's how I got into storytelling. And we can talk more about, my why and all that in a little bit. But, after I've been shooting TV commercials and branded content for I would say maybe 17 years. So before COVID, we sort of started looking at, okay, so is it just TV commercials? We also make movies and independent movies and documentaries on the side. So is it going to be just, on the big screen? Are we doing anything else, right? So I started sort of questioning. And then we sort of realized that, our superpower actually lies in storytelling. It's not about, we can definitely tell stories on the big screen, but why are we limiting telling stories on the big screen? Why do we not take our storytelling skills, right, and apply it, to help small size, to help mid-size businesses? Because they are the ones who need help the most. All the big companies, they have the agency of record, right? Whatever they need, they have a whole army of people ready to serve them. So it's no problem. But the smaller size businesses, the mom and pops, right, the solos, the really small, businesses who are still under 100 million, there's a lot of them out there. And the mid-sized businesses, right? And so
there's a lot of us out there because yes, I'm under 100 million.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, wow, what if we really extract, the storytelling skills and then find a way to teach people how to use storytelling in every way possible, right? In marketing outward to the customers, in marketing inward, right? To get the employees to buy in. Because if your employees don't buy in, about what you do, it's very hard to sustain them. I mean, like right now, everybody is about, oh, I'm not happy at this job, I'm jumping. People don't really stay in their jobs for very long anymore. And you don't want a big turnover, right? You want to have stable employees so that you can keep your business going. Because after a while, you rely on your employees. They are really becoming part of your family. And when they
Yeah,
leave,
I would agree with that.
yeah, it
I would
leaves a
agree with
big
that even
hole.
on contractors, because a lot of our listeners are probably solopreneurs or they work with contractors. But even working with contractors, I mean, they might have an employer too. We have employees here because we also have a retreat venue.
Right.
But, regardless if you have employees or you work with contractors or you just work with a team of I can speak,
Individuals.
yeah, individuals or independent workers, whatever may be the
Yeah.
case, it's still important to have this whole storytelling model, I think, in line, which kind of goes into the why. And I know you mentioned like your why. So I keep interrupting and I'm sorry, but please finish what you were thinking and then
Yeah.
also share your why.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, like I said, we've done really, small business all the way to like Fortune 100s, right? So there's really, and I've done so much storytelling work over the years, right? It's like 24 years now. And there is nothing, in my opinion, that is more efficient and more efficient and also like more compelling than storytelling. Because I also work a lot with companies. I also work a lot with like companies, like software companies, right? Like engineering companies, or even finance institutions. And those companies, they're very, very data driven. So a lot of times when we do the storytelling, they will say, oh, okay, we have a deck, right? We want to show this deck to, either our potential customers or, shareholders, stakeholders, whatever, right? And the deck is so data driven that you cannot even remember after three slides. It's so data heavy, right? So numbers so data heavy. And then I'm like, wow, do you really want people to like take something away from this experience, right? Or your goal is just to blast the data and that's it. If your goal is just to blast the data, okay, by all means, just do what you do, right? But if your goal is to really get people to understand what do these numbers mean, right? What does all this data mean? So if you really want your data and numbers to mean something, you have to present it in a way that people can digest and understand and take it away with them. Because if somebody walks out the door and then they're taking nothing away from it, then it fails,
Yeah,
right? What are you doing? It fails. You're not really doing anything.
I love this.
Yeah, so that's kind of my mantra.
Hey, retreat leaders. Are your retreats the hidden gems of the travel world just waiting to be discovered? Well, it's time to shine a spotlight on them. Introducing the ultimate guide you've been waiting for, our free guide, Top 11 Tips for Building an Email List for you, the retreat leaders. Imagine an email list packed with eager attendees, hanging on to your every word and ready to book at the click of a button. We share the blueprint to creating a list that sells. Don't miss out on the action. Learn how to connect deeply with your audience, boost your bookings, and create a buzz that fills every retreat. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, these 11 tips are your secret weapon to success. Visit retreatleaderlistbuilding.com now to grab your free copy and start building an email list that sells out your retreats.
I think this even ties into because a lot of the folks on this podcast are also doing most of their business through their website or through a digital platform, right? But it's the same concept. If somebody comes to your whatever the landing page or website or whatever, and it doesn't tell a story, it only gives the facts, right? Here's the retreat, here's where it's at,
Yeah.
here's the dates, blah, blah, blah. And that's it.
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, exactly. So
Nothing.
we're speaking the same language here. I love this.
Yeah, nothing. So because of that, I wrote an article on LinkedIn. I think I did it last year called The Four Stages of a Sales Cycle. Now, whatever your sales cycle is, it could be, selling a product, selling, a service or selling a retreat, right? It's the same thing, right? You are trying to get people to give you money for what you're going to do for them, right? That's the sales cycle. So number one is you need to build the connection. And data is great by all means. I love data because data helps me tell a better story. Without the data, it's like, okay, get the story, but what is the point, right? So the data is the point. So you do need the data, but you have to be able to express and to communicate your data in a storytelling format. So that's why number one is really building a connection. And when you're telling a story that is relevant, and this is a huge point, a lot of people can tell stories, but they don't know how to make it relevant to the target audience. I remember one time I was listening to a very established speaker speaking on stage, and she's been on stage for a long time. And she kept going on and on and on from one story to the next. And it's like 10 stories later, I was like, okay, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I don't know where this is going. It's like, okay, why is it relevant to me? Like, what point are you trying to make, right? What journey are you going to take me with you to do? And I didn't feel anything. So at the end, I was completely checked out and I didn't feel anything because it's not relevant. You see, so whatever story you're going to say, it has to be relevant to your target audience. So make sure your story makes them feel something, and that reaction doesn't have to be, it even can be a negative reaction. It doesn't have to be something absolutely positive. But the whole reason is you have to build a connection. It's the connection and then the reaction. Because when you say something and then when they can feel the emotion, right, they're going to give you a reaction. Now, whether the reaction is positive or negative, it's still going to serve you. Because if the reaction is positive, great. It's going to move them to buying. But if the reaction is negative, then it's great. Then you're not going to spend time trying to court them and trying to convince them to buy from you because not everybody is your target audience, right? So that's why, the best is to get a reaction from your people. Then okay, are they going to be buying from me or are they not going to be buying from me? So you're not going to be spending years. I know bigger companies who spend years trying to get a corporate to buy from them. And in the end, the corporate tells them, oh, you know what? We're never going to give you business. That's painful.
That's really painful.
Yeah. So that's why the earlier you can detect and earlier you can tell, the better. So I can give you the link in the end so you can share.
Yeah, I'll share the LinkedIn post in the show notes for sure.
Exactly. So, but in any case, really like crafting a compelling story to engage with your audience and make sure that they understand what you're getting at, right? Is the key. And it doesn't matter whether you're selling service, product, or, it's just communicating because there has to be a point about the story that you're trying to share.
Hey, it's Shannon here. I'm just popping in really quickly to ask a big favor. Would you pause the show and go review it for us? Please. Reviews really help us to be able to get more guests and more experts on the show to help you transform your retreats. So if you wouldn't mind pausing and leaving us a review, that would mean everything. And if you're not already subscribed, do that too.
I love this. I really love that the first point too is connection. Because that really is, first of all, the whole point of a retreat in general is usually creating transformation through connection, right? And so that's just one of the key aspects of it. And so in order to sell, and yes, it is a selling cycle, retreat leaders, in order to sell your spots, you have to create this connection before they even get to the retreat, before they even book, before they even give you money, you have to create this connection.
Yeah.
All through storytelling.
Exactly. Because there is no connection, then why do they care? Right? So let me answer your other question about why I got into this. So I actually grew up in a household where emotions were not shared, encouraged, or shown at all while I was growing up. So I was taught to not show emotions, not talk about emotions, not feel any emotions. So although I had friends growing up, I always felt that there was a barrier I didn't know how to cross. And I didn't know what it was because I didn't know how to articulate it because I was completely taught the other way. So it went on for a long time. It went on until I was in college. And even, when I went into grad school, I still felt awkward a lot of times because I feel like I didn't really know how to connect with people, although I had friends. So finally, after I got my MFA degree, I was looking for a job and my major was music composition. And because of my bilingual skills, I got hired as a TV newscaster. And besides anchoring the news, they also decided to give me a 5-minute daily human interest segment where I could cover anything but hot news. So I sort of got thrown into this new role, right? And then in order to have a 5-minute story on a daily basis, I was forced to talk to strangers. I ended up interviewing thousands of people from all walks of life and crafted over 1,200 on-air stories. Now, through talking to strangers, through, having to deliver a story every single day, right? I had to be able to not just talk to people, but be able to pull, information out of people in a pretty quick, turnaround time, right? Because every day I only, I had to deliver regardless. And I only had that many hours, right? So that's what I got really good at, extracting information from people and then being able to pull all those elements together and to build the story and then deliver it. So I got really good at that. Now, at the time, I didn't realize that would be my calling. So I fell in love with producing and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to be a producer. So I left the news and I went into the fiction side and I worked on a CBS primetime scripted show before I started my company, Duck Punk. And then even after Duck Punk, right, I was still, doing TV commercials, movies, and documentaries. And then, at the same time, like I told you earlier, when I started kind of looking back at everything that I've done, trying to figure out, okay, is there more to, what we have been doing? And then I realized that, wow, storytelling, it's really the key that sort of ties everything together. And then when I'm able to use storytelling, right, in the way I communicate, in the way I speak, then I get results quicker. I get people to connect with me, right, really almost instantly in a very quick, period of time, right? Let's say if you have a compelling story on your website, people look at it, right? Really within minutes, right? You're already connecting. I don't even know what else can be as fast as that. So I really discovered the power of storytelling and I started sort of speaking about it at conferences, at events. And then every time I do it, I get all these people really excited. I used to do a lot of, I still do that. So when I speak, I do a lot of live demonstrations. So I, oftentimes would invite, audience member to come up on stage and we'll figure out her or his story right there at the moment to let everybody know that, hey, this is not as hard as you think. If you do it right, you can actually, you can figure it out pretty quickly, and also I want to encourage people too, that depending on your target audience, right? So let's say we have 3 different tiers of customers. So we have to have 3 different kinds of stories. So don't be just tied to one story because I can use my super small, startup, mom and pop small business story for my corporate clients. And vice versa, the story that we use for corporate clients, we can use that for the really small people. So it's okay to have multiple stories to serve your multiple customer tiers.
I love this. Oh my goodness, I love this so much.
Hey guys, I'm popping in to ask a quick question. Are you ready to elevate your marketing game and fill those retreat slots faster than ever? Of course you are. That's why you're here. And we've got the toolkit for you. Our top 5 marketing tools for retreat leaders guide. This isn't just a guide. It's your marketing guru wrapped up in one easy to follow package. Dive into the essentials of social media marketing, where we show you how to leverage those platforms to create a community buzzing with excitement for your retreats. Also, unleash the power of content marketing with strategies that educate and engage your potential guests. Plus, we'll dive into email marketing, SEO, and partnership opportunities that open new doors and bring in streams of attendees. So why wait to make your retreats the talk of the town? Download your free guide today by visiting retreatmarketingtools.com and start transforming your retreat dreams into reality.
If someone wanted to find out more about your offerings, your services, and how they can master this storytelling in order to really connect with their audience, where should they go? What should they do?
It's very easy. So they just go to duckpunk.net, duckpunk.net. And then on there, click on story selling because the story selling course that we have is going to be launched next month. So if you go on there, you click story selling, put your email address on there. And then when we launch, you're going to get an email prompting you. And then we can even work on, some sort of code for your target audience if you would be interested in to give them a discount code or something so that when it's launched, they can look at it and they're interested, they can purchase it. And really, it's a very easy to follow step-by-step process because I figured a lot of I've been watching other people who do storytelling as well. So a lot of people have books, have courses and stuff, but they tell you what's good about storytelling, but they don't really teach you step by step how to craft your own story. And that's the key. I know it's good, but how do I craft my own story, right? So I teach you step by step how to craft your own compelling story so that you can articulate your differentiators. Because like for your audience, right? Okay, you have a great group of people who are doing retreats, but how do you stand out from your competitors? What makes you stand out, right? What sets you apart, right? And then after that, how are you going to deliver your elevator pitch, right? So I teach people how to have a 30-second, 60-second, 90-second. So you have to know if you have more time, what are you going to say? And you have to know if you have less time, what are you going to cut? Right? Because otherwise, you go into any event and you don't know, and you suddenly go, oh, they're giving me 60 seconds, but I only have a 30-second. What do I do now? Right? And then all of a sudden they say, oh, wait, you have 90 seconds. And it was like, oh, wow, I have an extra whole minute. I don't know what to say. Right? Or if you're used to saying 90 seconds, they say, oh, wow, I only have 30. What else do I cut? Right? So it's really important to have, like, at least, in my opinion, 3 different types of pitches so that, you'll be ready, regardless of what time you get at any given event.
I love it. And if we do get that discount code ready, we will throw that in the show notes. So be sure to check the show notes so that you can get the link as well as any discount codes available. Mellissa, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing the importance of storytelling when it comes to selling and just connecting with your audience in general. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. Learn more at www.theretreatranch.com. See you next time.